we want to look at Jenkins. Jenkins is a continuous integration tool that allows us to bring the processes that we find in all the DevOps apps that we use and bring them into one platform and automate the process such that we have the fastest delivery, right? And at the end of the day, we can be sure we get the results we want. Okay, let's get started and look at how to proceed with this. So the first thing we want to do is to launch an instance. I want to launch an instance. I want to call this, let's say, my Jenkins. My Jenkins, right? My Jenkins. Okay. I want to call this I want to launch a Red Hat instance. And let's set this as high availability. And I want to set this as T2 medium because I need minimum of 4 gig RAM. Okay. So I want to come here to use an existing key pair, Ademola. Okay. Now I want to add security group. Okay. I'm creating a new one. I want to add security group. I want to add port 8080. That's the default port for Jenkins. I want to be able to access from anywhere. Then once I'm done with that, I want to launch. So success, I want to copy the IP address. Let's copy the public IP address so we can launch on the SSH clients. And I'm using MobileXTEM. Okay, I want to come here to start a new session. Right, I'm starting a new session. I want to call this, put the remote IP, the public IP address. Since this is a Red Hat server, so I have EC2-user as a default name, right? So I want to use a private key, set that up. Then okay. So right now I have this new server set up. I want to clear. Then let's call this Jenkins. Jenkins, okay? So I have the tabs named. So let's move this, Jenkins. So what do I need to do? Okay, I need to install Jenkins on this server so that we can work with it. So to do that, I want to use a script to make this whole exercise very fast. I have a script that I want to use for installing. I want to call it vi install jenkins.sh. Install jenkins.sh. Jenkins.sh. Okay. So let me look for the I want to come here to package installation scripts. I have Jenkins installation here. So I want to copy okay. So once I have that, I want to paste it in there. Okay. So I want to paste that. So with this script, we see that we are installing wget vim and tree. We're installing Java. We are installing Jenkins key and repository. We are installing Jenkins itself. Then we are starting, enabling, and checking the status of Jenkins. Then we'll also obtain the password for Jenkins. So since we've established all of this, we want to save and start with the installation, right? So to run the installation script, sh install jenkins.sh. So I want to continue with the installation, so I enter 1. So installation is ongoing. So I have my Maven setup, okay. Sonarqube setup. I also have my Nexus setup. Okay, so the reason why I have all this set up is if you look at the whole integration process, you are looking at the tools we use, right? We use our Maven to do builds after cloning from GitHub, right? Then we use Sonarqube to do our code quality analysis. Then we use Nexus to do backup of the artifacts, right? To mitigate against disaster, which could happen, right? So that's basically what we'll be working with, because these are the tools, and these are the tools we want to put into Jenkins, the applications we want to work with on Jenkins to get us going. So okay, let's see what we get. Starting verifying. Okay. So if we press Q, you see, we have obtained our initial admin password. Okay, so now we want to log into Jenkins. We want to use the public IP address, column port 8080, because that's the default port. So we want to say call ifconfig.co. Okay, call ifconfig.co gives us the public IP address. Okay, we copy that and go to the browser. So here in the browser, we want to put that public IP address, column 8080. Okay, enter this. Okay, so we are in the Jenkins environment. So it says copy the password from either location and paste it below. Okay, so it's saying our password is here, although we've got it, but for the benefit of those that did not use the scripts, which I'll provide in the description of the video. So for those that didn't use the scripts, and if they need to access their password, this is what they'll need to do. They'll copy this, right? Then they go to the Jenkins server. They go to the Jenkins server, right? Then they say sudo, enter sudo, then they cut that file, right? That file, they cut it. So you can see there's a password. It's the same as what we have here. Okay. So now that we've established this, it means we can use this password. To go log in to get our initial setup done. Okay. So I come in here. I want to log in. So I have two options: install suggested plugins, or want to select your plugin. So I want to choose this and to install suggested plugins. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll install suggested plugins, right? You can see all the plugins being installed. So I have all the plugins being installed. Git installed. Okay, so it's looking good. So it's saying we should set up the first admin user, okay, and set up admin, right? And to set a password. I also want to confirm the password. And specify username, full name, and to specify email address. Okay, and save and finish. Now that I've done this, we want to start using Jenkins to do all those fun things. Okay, so here we are. We want to start using Jenkins, right? So let's say we want to set up a project, and let's say the project is my Jenkins. So let's say this is the name of the project, my Jenkins. And let's say it's a freestyle project, right? I want to click OK to that. Now, everything here is in a page. We just use this to navigate. We use this to navigate in case we want to get straight to the point, right? I use this to navigate. Okay, everything is in a page. So what we want to do is we want to work on a build, right? We want to look at what developers have committed to GitHub. So we want to select Git, right? For example, let's say there's a particular clone we want to do. Remember, if you were in the command, using the command line, you want to enter git clone, then specify the URL, then you clone, right? So let's see whether it's possible for us to do that right here. This is Jenkins, right? Let's do git clone. We'll see that it's not possible, right? Git clone. I want to say, I want to specify a URL. For example, let's pick something here. Okay, let's say I want to pick this. Okay, this web application. So I pick this and I come to here and I say git clone. Command not found, right? So because of this, what do we need to do? If there is no git down here on the server, what it means is that we can't use git in the remote, right? If you run a git job, it's going to fail. Okay, so what we want to do is to install git, right? So because this is a Red Hat server, I want to do a quick install. I want to use sudo install git, sudo yum install git, yum install git, sudo yum install git, So that is happening. So while we are at that, since we know that it's now possible for us to run git, so we want to come back here to the browser, right? Let's copy this. Should still have it saved in the memory. So we want to copy this, right? And come up here and paste it. Okay. So you see, we've entered this. No credential is required, right? Because this is a public repository. But on the job, are we going to be working on public repository? No way. We'll be working on private repositories. Okay. Do I have any private repository that I want to work with? Okay, let's do this. I want to create a repository. Like I want to make this a private repository. How do I do that? So what I can do is to say, let's create a new repository. I can create a new repository right here. Let me call it web app, web application. Web application. Let's call this web application, right? Web application. Now I want to make it private, right? Because this is what's going to look like at the workplace. Then I create repository. So once I create this repository, I want to be able to copy from the other repository, right? The public repository, right? This repository, I want it cloned into the one I just created. That way, we retain everything that pertains to that, the code and everything relating to the project. Okay, now that we've done this, we want to come here. This is a very good way of practicing because at least we know we have the what we'll encounter at the workplace. Okay, so we want to come here and click on this. So you see the commit was done 6 days ago. So everything is here, everything is intact, right? Take a look at this master, main branch. This is the only branch we have, right? Just take a look at this main branch, all right? You see why I'm calling your attention to it as we progress, okay? So this is the branch we have, okay? Now, since we've established this, we want to copy this instead, right? Want to copy this. So once we copy that, we want to come in here. What do I need to do? I need to come to my Jenkins, right? I want to come to my Jenkins and paste this instead. Okay. Once we pasted that, we get an error, right? Because if ordinarily you are trying to do a git push or git clone, okay, let's see what we have over there. Now that we have git, right, we have git here. So if we say we want to do a git clone of that private repository that we just got, right, we want to do a git clone. It's asking for username and password because this is a private repository and this is what we'll see in real life. Let me kill this process and let's proceed with what we're doing. So now it's asking me that I need to get authenticated, right? And it will ask for a password, right? But password authentication was removed. So we need to use personal access token instead, okay? So what do we need to do? We need to go and configure something, right? So we need to configure a Git password for Jenkins, right? So we come in here, it's asking for a username, it's asking for a password, which is going to be the personal access token, asking for an ID, right? So let's see what we can put in here. So my username, although I know it, but let's go through it together to see where I'm picking it from. That name has to be your GitHub username, right? It could be Bitbucket, it could be GitLab, right? So, but this time around, we are using GitHub. So this is my username, Ademola Laoti, together, right? So I come in here, I come to Jenkins, I write that out. Right, I put that there. So it's asking me for password, but they've also told us that it's personal access token that is required. So I come up here, I want to get my password. So my password is going to be my personal access token. I come to settings here, then I go to the left, scroll down to the bottom. I pick developer settings. Once I'm here, I see personal access token. I select that. I want to delete this. I want to delete that and set up and generate new token, right? Once I generate new token, I can say this token is from my project, my Jenkins, okay? It's my Jenkins. I want it to expire in 90 days. I have more time to explore and play around with it. Okay, so I want to generate token. Once I generate this token, I want to copy this token and put it in place of password in Jenkins, okay? So I put it in place of password right here. Put it here, password. Paste that there. Then ID, I want to say, oh, this is my GitHub, GitHub authentication details, right? So I want to scroll down to add all this, right? So I've added it. So why is it not changing despite what I've done? You need to come here and select this. So once you select, it's active. So we are good to go. So what else do I need to do? Let me scroll down, right? Remember I called your attention to something earlier with my, let's go check it out. With my, let's see my organizations. Let me pick my repository from here. So this is the repository we are working with. This is a private repository we are working with. So looking at this, for example, if you look at this, what do you see? You can see the branches we have here. Oh, just one branch. And the name is main, right? So if you come back to this place, if we go ahead and just save, right? We are going to have a failed build. Why? Because branch specified is master. So we need to take this out or specify main. But to play safe, I like to make it blank so that anything I do will work here, right? So I want to scroll down. What else do I need to change? I think that's about all, right? So let's click save. And if we do a build now, what are we going to see? The only thing we've set up is the GitHub, right? So the build will be based on what we've done, GitHub, okay? So when we come here and say build now, right? Build now, you can see we have a successful build, right? Number one. That's our first build. So click on that. You can see we have a success, right? So this is done. So what next after this? Remember, when we're doing this without Jenkins, we did our clone on Maven, did a build, right? After doing the build, we did the code quality analysis, right? Using Sonarqube. Then we proceeded to backing up our artifacts on Nexus to mitigate against disaster. Now that we've established all of this, we are no longer doing manual, right? We are using the automation tool, right? The CI platform, right? Which is Jenkins, to help us with automating all of these things, right? And now, if you remember, there's something common among all these platforms that we mentioned, from Jenkins, from Sonarqube to Nexus, right? And from Maven, right? All the commands we use proceed with what? MVN, right? We do MVN install, the MVN package under Maven, right? So for us to get our code quality analysis done, we'll do MVN sonar.column right? Then for Nexus, we do MVN deploy. So MVN, the command, then followed by the goal, right? So once we've established that, it's important to establish, right? Now, what do we need to do? We are working with Jenkins now, right? If we go to Jenkins and type MVN, right? Because we are here in Jenkins, everything we are doing, right? We want to do MVN Sonar. We are doing it in Jenkins. We want to do MVN deploy. We are doing it in Jenkins. So what it means is that MVN, Maven is a very important platform application to install inside Jenkins, right? So for example, let's say we want to do this manually, right, on Jenkins. And I want to do, I can say MVN package. I do this, let's see what we get. MVN package, command not found. So just as we installed Git in Jenkins, there's need for us to install Maven in Jenkins. That way, we'll be able to run MVN deploy, MVN Sonar, MVN install, depending on what MVN clean, all those interesting packages, right? So interesting commands, I mean. So what we need to do now is to do sudo yum install what package? That's Maven, right? And I'll say -y. So let's see what we have. What did I do? See? Sudo yum install. Oh, install. Sudo yum install. Okay. So let's have Maven installed. So once Maven is installed, right, we'll be able to go here, right? We'll be able to come to Jenkins, right? Let's go back to the project. These are projects. Let's configure the project. My Jenkins project, right? So what next, right? After doing this, we want to come up here. Okay, branch specifier. I want to leave it blank. Okay, so we want to come up here and say, okay, what do I want to do now? I want to add a build step, right? So I want to invoke a top level Maven target, right? So what do I want to do? Let me do MVN Sonar, or let me do my MVN install first, right? I want to do MVN install, I want to do a build, but I could as well do MVN Sonar, right? So let me do MVN install, since I won't need to do any modification at the moment. So MVN install. So this is the goal, right? But I do not need to specify the MVN, because the goal component is what you have after MVN. So the goal is what I need to specify. Okay. So right now, what do I want to do? I want to do a build, right? So this is the step, right? So what do I need to do? I can come here and save, right? That's a step. So that is that step. So that's MVN install, okay? So when I do a build now, what do I expect? I expect that a build is done on Maven, MVN install. So I can do a build now, right? So if I do a build, what do I get? I can say number 2, build 2. Let's see what we have. So console output, can see, let's go to the bottom. I just want to see the success, right? Success. So this is already a success. So let's go back to the project. So after doing that, what do we want to do? We want to do our MVN Sonar to do our code quality analysis. Now to do that, let's confirm that we have Sonarqube up, right? These are Sonarqube, right? So we have Sonarqube up there, right? This is a public IP address. This is the, okay. So we are fine here. So let's go and do our setup, right? Want to go and do our setup. So what do we need to do? For us to be able to run MVN Sonar correctly, successfully, we need to modify the pom.xml. That's the properties tag. We want to ensure that the details, user ID, password, everything has been correctly set in the tag. So how do we get to this tag? So we can come to web application, right? This is what we are using, right? So we can go to the pom.xml right here. So this is a private repository, right? So pom.xml, want to modify it. So what do you want to modify here? Want to modify the properties tag. So come to properties, right? What do you have here? You can see release, you can see, okay, this is the most important part. We need to come here, right? Take out this, right? Let's take out this entirely. The URL, right? Let's take out the URL completely and go to our Sonarqube. Let's go to our Sonarqube. Sonarqube, want to copy this. Let's copy this, okay? So let's copy everything. Okay, let's copy that. So we have to come here. Okay, so once we come here, we want to paste this here, right? So we have this long string, right? But we want to go an extra step by coming here to put the private IP address for Sonarqube. The reason why I want to do that is that whenever we stop our server, public IP address changes, whereas private does not. So you want to use your private IP address there, because if you use your private IP address trying to log in directly on the browser, it won't work. But because this is a server to server thing, it will recognize private IP address. Okay. So what we want to do is to come to our Sonarqube, do I have it here? Yes, I have Sonarqube, and copy the private IP address. Okay, we have it set up here. So this is the private IP address. So I can copy that. So I have private IP address. I want to go and replace what we have here for Sonarqube. So is it? It's down here. So I want to put that here to replace that. Okay. So this is a private IP address. Okay, I have the private IP address here. So I want to ensure that the username and password for Sonar is correct. Okay. So I can't say admin. Okay, that's the default. Then the password should also be admin. I didn't change it for the purpose of this session. Okay, but you should always change this in the course of work because it's easy to guess, right? So admin. So I want to save this now. I believe everything is fine. So once I save this, admin, then I have this. Okay, so this is good. So I want to save this, commit changes. And commit changes. So Once I'm done with that, I come back to Jenkins. I've updated my, let's confirm that again. I've updated my next action. Have I? I've done install, right? I've done MVN install. So we need to add a build step, right? The next step is for me to do my code quality analysis. Code quality analysis. So to do that, I want to add a build step, right? Because I'm using another top level Maven target. So the goal here is Sonar column Sonar, because I want to do code quality analysis. Sonar column Sonar. Okay, so if I save this now, so that's the goal, right? That's the second level under Maven. So let's check our projects here under Sonarqube. See, we do not have any project at the moment, right? So let's come back to Jenkins, right? And do a build. So doing a build. In Jenkins. Doing a build in Jenkins. Okay. Okay. So we have our third build, right? So right now we have a third build. So code quality analysis has been completed. You can see success, right? Code quality analysis has been completed. So let's go back to project. So let's confirm that the code quality analysis was successfully done. Let's refresh this page. You can see we have the code quality analysis. You can see the reports. Okay, so this is the code quality analysis has been completed. Okay, so we want to come back here and look at the next step. So what are we going to do now? The next thing we want to do is to mitigate against disaster, right? So we want to have a backup of our artifacts, right? We want to back up our artifacts in Nexus. So let's see, what are we supposed to do? So we need to come back here to configure the project and add another step, right? Just add another step, okay? So we had a build step, okay? Add a build step. So we want to invoke another top level Maven targets, which is going to be MVN deploy. So the goal in that command is deploy. So we say deploy, that's the goal, right? So we save, okay? So now that we've saved, what happens? We've saved, okay? We want to go and look at this file. There's a modification we need to do, right? We need to do a modification to the pom.xml file. You know, when we want to back up our artifacts, want to back them up somewhere, and that place is called in here, okay, cancel this. So Nexus, we want to back up our artifacts here in Nexus. So when we back up artifacts, whatever we back up, we expect to see them here, right? You can come here and click on browse. Let's say, for example, I want to check some things we've done in the past, you see. We come through this queue, right? Click on browse, then go check what you are looking for. But if we want to configure, we come in here, right? This is where we need to be at the moment, because what we want to do now is to configure my Jenkins, right? I want to configure my Jenkins repositories. Come here, repositories. We want to create a new repository here where the artifacts will be saved, right? We are trying to back up the artifacts. So we want to create a location, right? A remote location for Maven. So we want to select Maven 2 hosted, right? So we take that. So the name of our project is my Jenkins. My Jenkins, right? This time around, I want to get snapshots, okay? Snapshots. Want to get snapshots. Then we'll come here, we need to specify snapshots, right? So once you specify snapshot here, you need to come here, right? Version, remember, it says specify snapshots. You come here and we create our repository, okay? So success, right? That's my Jenkins snapshot. So let's create another one. We call this one Maven 2 hosted as well. But this time around, we want to call it my Jenkins dash release. So we just should remember to come here to version type, version policy to specify release, okay? So once we've done that, we want to create repository. Now that we've created these repositories, right? If we come in here, right, and check here, we see release is empty, right? What else do we see? Release is empty. Come here, snapshots. My Jenkins snapshot is also empty, right? No asset has been found in this repository, okay? So now that we've established that, let's come back here and see how we can proceed. So we need to make a modification to the distribution management tag in the pom.xml, right? So let's go to pom.xml. I will see what we are doing. In pom.xml, I want you to pay special attention to this snapshot on line 8. Okay. So what else do we need to do? Let's scroll down to distribution management tag. This is distribution management tag, right? You can see this part of the distribution management tag says repository, and this part says snapshot repository. Okay. So this part that says repository, we'll be looking at putting the repository relating to release here, and the repository relating to snapshot we'll put here, okay? Because it was specified snapshot, okay? So now we also need to make sure that this is Nexus. It could have been JFrog, right? It could have been any other platform, right? So Nexus, want to be specific, right? That this is Nexus. Okay, so now that we've done this, we want to go back to Nexus, right? Remember, snapshots, click on this, you can copy this link, Control C, this is the link for snapshots, okay? So we come back down here, we come back to the pom.xml, right? We'll come to pom.xml, we want to modify this part, right? That relates to snapshots. Snapshot ends before this less than sign, and it stops right here. So stops before the greater than sign. So we want to paste what we have, okay? So we pasted that. We pasted snapshot. So let's go and copy the one for, what's it called? Let's copy the one for release, okay? So copy the one for release, that's the release, okay? So let's copy the one for release, okay? So repositories, I want to copy for Jenkins, my Jenkins release. Okay, so we'll come here, Control C. So what do? We come here to make modification to this part, right? Releases, ends here, and starts here. Okay, releases. So we want to paste this in here, right? I want to paste that in here. So just as we did when we're working on the sonar tag, that's the properties tag. So we want to also change this to private IP address for the same reason, so that when we have any reason to stop our server, we don't lose, right? When we have any reason to stop our server, we don't have to come here to modify again because IP address has changed. So let's go to the SSH client, right? So we're going Nexus, right? We want to get the IP address, which is this, okay? So we've copied it, and I want to come up here, right? To paste it here, okay? So we want to paste IP address, the private IP address here and here, okay? What else do we need to change? Say Nexus is correct, Nexus is correct. We also want to make sure, pay attention to this Nexus because we need to look at it somewhere else, okay? So I want to save this, right? Everything is looking good. Also, remember snapshots in line 8, right? We'll talk about it as we progress. So commit changes. Now that we've done this, should we just proceed, right? No, we shouldn't. Remember when we're working on Maven, right? Maven, when we're doing the manual approach, right? Backing up Maven artifacts in Nexus. After updating the pom.xml, we needed to do something extra. We went to the Maven app to configure the settings.xml file, right? Such that everything we have, right? Everything we have, we're able to do a global configuration and put Nexus in there, in the server tag. So now, are we working with Maven to generate all these reports? No, we are now working with Jenkins. So where do we need to make this modification? We need to make the modification inside Jenkins, okay? Now, let's go to Jenkins and make some modification to the settings.xml file. So Jenkins want to go to settings.xml, but I'm not sure where it is, right? So what do? I want to say that relates to Maven, okay? So I want to say sudo. I want to find within root. I'm looking for a name of a file called settings.xml, right? I'm looking for that. Oh, good. I didn't even have to look for so long. So it's right here. So this is where it is, right? So I want to copy this, right? So once I copy that, I want to vi into a file called Maven, called settings.xml. That is within the Maven directory, and that we'll find in the /etc directory. Okay, now to vi, we need to put sudo as well, so we can make modifications to that file, right? Sudo. So now that we are here, I want to scroll down till I get to the server tag. Okay, I'm not in server. Okay, but what am I looking for? I'm looking for this. Okay, this is something I'm looking for. and I want to insert it somewhere here, okay, outside the comments. So I want to go to insert mode, right? I want to copy this, right? This server tag, right? I want to scroll down to somewhere here, right? Outside the comments and click on enter. I don't want it to be commented yet. I want to still be within the big server tag, right? So that this will impact, right? So I do this. I come here. I come to ID. Remember when we're setting up Nexus, right? On the pom.xml, ID was Nexus. Want to make sure that the ID we have here is exactly what we have there, right? Nexus. Say Nexus, right? Nexus. So the username for Nexus by default is admin. I didn't change it. So the password by default is admin123. I didn't change that. So I just need to put that here, admin123. Okay. Now that we've done this, let's proceed to saving this file, right? WQ, okay. Enter. Now that we've saved it, what else should we do? Okay, let's go and check Jenkins to be sure that we've set up the build for deploy, the configuration for deploy. So let's see the goals. We've done install, we've done sonar, then the next goal is deploy. So we've done that. So all we need to do is now to do our build, right? So to do our build, all we need to do, we've modified our pom.xml, right? Let's confirm that we've modified our pom.xml distribution management. We have the list up here. We have snapshots here. Okay, we have snapshots here. So what else? Okay, we have snapshots. So I want to come here and do a build, right? So I do build now. So you can see the fourth build. Let's see. So we have a successful deploy. Okay, so let's check it out. So console output, we have a successful deploy. So we have build, finish, success. So let's go and confirm that in the Nexus repository. Remember, to check, we can't check from here. We need to go to the cube. Then we browse, right? We come here. Let's see. Remember, I was calling your attention to line 8 here, right? This snapshot here in all cap. So what this does is specifying snapshot here means that whatever we are doing, right, when we do MVN deploy, it is the snapshot that it generates, right? But if we change this to release, lowercase, it will be generating release. Okay, so let's check here again to reconfirm. So we are in here, let's see release, we'll see that it's empty. See, no asset found in this repository. Let's check snapshot, you see. My Jenkins snapshot. Let me see, snapshot, my Jenkins snapshot. Okay, what happened there? Oh, I think I see. My Jenkins snapshots is what I have up there. So let me create my Jenkins snapshots. I think it's my Jenkins snapshots. Okay, so let's do this. I'm deleting this. I'll just change it to my Jenkins snapshots. I think there was a typographic error there. Let me just show you before I delete it, right? So my Jenkins snapshots. I think I saw it last minute. My Jenkins snapshots. Shots. I think I saw it. Yeah, my Jenkins snapshots. Okay, what I can do, instead of deleting that, let me just come here. Since it was a success, let me just come here and modify this and rerun that, okay? So that way I won't have to delete it. So the problem here, although we had a successful build, a successful deploy, but this part is showing up as snapshots. Snapshots. What did that happen? Snapshots. Snapshot. My Jenkins. What happened there? Maven snapshots. Repository. Oh, I copied the wrong part. So if I go and check Maven snapshots, I'll have something there, but that's not the intention, right? So let's just confirm that Maven snapshots. Maven snapshots. Let me not save. Let me not delete this. So let's just confirm where it went to, my Maven snapshots. But that's not the intention. Must have copied it mistakenly. Oh, my Maven snapshots. Because it was so close, you can see this is where I copied from. So let me see. You see, this is where it went to, right? Because of that mistake, this is where it went to. So let's come here and copy it, right? My Maven, let's modify. Let's put the right thing there. Okay, let's go and copy it from and do another MVN deploy. Okay, so it actually deployed, but it deployed to the wrong destination. Okay, so just to be consistent, let's deploy right. Okay, I want to come here. No, Jenkins, Nexus is here. Okay, so let me come here. What was I thinking? Okay, so this is what I want, right? My Jenkins snapshots. So I copied the wrong thing earlier. Control C, right? Control C. Now let me come here. Let me come here and paste it in there. Okay, my Jenkins snapshot. So I'm committing. Now let me run that again. Let me run. Since I have a correct location, so let me run this again, right? And see, it went to my Maven snapshots, right? So let me now put it in the appropriate place. Let's go here and do another run, right? Since we've modified, we can do another build. Doing another build. So build 5. So this is what really happens at the workplace, because modifications will be done and builds will be redone, you know. So we'll see that right now, after this build, we'll have, okay, have another successful build, which is good. So let's check here and scroll to the bottom, so that we have a successful build, right? You see, it's now uploaded to the right place, my Jenkins dash snapshots, right? So build success. So if we come here, to Nexus. Let's pick up the, okay. So this is where it should be. My Jenkins snapshot. Let's refresh. Okay, refreshing it. So now that we've done that, we want to come here and say my Jenkins snapshot. You see, oh, I should go to the cube, browse, then say my Jenkins snapshot. You see, we now have it here. We have the snapshot here. Okay, web application. So we have the snapshots. So this is it. And we've successfully completed the builds, right, on Jenkins. So in the next session, we'll look at something even more interesting.